Welcome back. Perfect timing as Monica Seles making her way through, and Steffi Graf in there somewhere, trailing along behind, looking a little bit more sober. I don't mean she's drunk, but I meant within herself. And Monica Seles, as usual, smiling, laughing. I mean, she had a real sort of nervous smile, a sense of excitement as she comes through that last part of the corridor.
Have you noticed she always comes out first?
Yeah, there's one or two golfers that have the same theory. Nick Faldo, when he was #1 in the world, always liked to be the first out, first on the tee, first down the fairway, first everything. Little bouquet for the two champions to come out. The #1 seed against the #1 seed. Haven't had that too often. Well, actually, no. World ranked #1A against world ranked #1B. That's the #1 seed. Steffi Graf against the #2 seed there, Monica Seles. In that little narrow corridor, and she looks up into this enormous bowl. The spectators way up right at the top of the stands, looking down.
Smiling the whole way.
Absolutely looks as though she's enjoying every minute of it. And Steffi Graf has already come over into the background, and everybody's ignored.
How many times can you say Steffi Graf has come on court and is the underdog when she's been seeded #1? But Monica Seles, her return to tennis has just been phenomenal.
Absolutely, and I'm sure you know, but we'll repeat it once again. After the nearly 2 years layoff, she's returned to the Canadian Open just a couple of weeks ago, went through the tournament not only undefeated but also without dropping a set. She won that tournament. She came through, and she's won every game here on the way to the final, obviously, but also without dropping a set. Steffi Graf has had a sensational year herself. She's only lost one match. She was injured at the beginning of the year, so she had to miss out on the Australian Open. We didn't see her there. Mary Pierce won that over Arantxa Sanchez Vicario, but she came back and then put together 32 matches undefeated. She went 28 games without losing a set. Lost one match to Amanda Kurtzer. She reversed that defeat in the first round of the US Open here, and has looked very impressive. And I think, I don't know whether you agree, Andrea, probably had the best women's match of the tournament so far in the semi-final, that match against Gabriela Sabatini.
Yes, it definitely was a great match, and Sabatini had her opportunities. Her serve failed her again. Steffi Graf was so relieved to come through. This has really been an emotional battle for her coming out and playing the US Open. She's been injured throughout the year and in years past at certain Grand Slam tournaments, but her and Monica Seles have really traded off Grand Slam titles in the #1 ranking.
Now, I mentioned Steffi Graf coming through a first-round opponent. Let's go through the complete run-through to this particular point in the tournament. Let's start with Monica Seles. This is her road to the final, as described by our colleague Barry Tompkins.
You just can't do what Monica Seles has done. That said, she's done it. Monica Seles has reached the final of the US Open just 4 weeks after striking a tennis ball in an anger for the first time in 2.5 years. You're just not supposed to be able to do that sort of thing. What's more, she hasn't lost a match in the 2 official tournaments she's played, and while she laughs off the fact that she could never win the US Open, she's now 1 victory away from doing just that. Not much attention was paid when she got rid of Erica Delone and Yoni Camio, as though they were merely a bug on the windshield of Monica's life. When she handled hard-hitting Anka Huber for the second time in 2 tournaments, it set up a match that everyone collectively thought, okay, now we'll see if Monica really is match tough. Jana Novotná, while never accused of having the heart of a lion, certainly has one of the most complete games in women's tennis. Certainly this would be a test, and sure enough, it was. And just when it looked as though Monica had finally met her competitive match, she turned in perhaps the most impressive run of points played at the tournament yet. It's been quite a run for Monica Seles, and another finish line looms ahead today.
And a very comfortable semi-final winner over Conchita Martinez. Steffi Graf had a much tougher ride. Started off with that one against Amanda Kurtzer. And isn't it extraordinary? All the focus is on the lady at the opposite side of the net, even though Steffi Graf has had that terrific year this year and has lost only one match.
Well, very few players play like Monica Seles, so when she's playing these people for the first time out in a few years, they're at a distinct disadvantage. Conchita Martinez stood so far behind the baseline and couldn't do a thing to stop Monica Seles. Steffi Graf hits the ball early, but still, it's a different story when you're playing Monica Seles, who just whacks the ball off both sides and is playing with so much confidence.
Let's have a look at how Steffi Graf got here, Andrea.
It's been an open wrought with problems for the world's #1. Not any of them on the court, mind you. Everything that stands in the way of Steffi Graf these days has to do with 2 of the 3 dreaded F words: family and finance. The third F word, forehand, however, has been just fine, thank you very much. Things didn't start out so swimmingly for Steffi, though. Amanda Kurtzer, who had summarily dismissed Steffi just a week earlier in Canada, apparently had some thoughts that that win was not an aberration, but something that could be repeated. Steffi was down a set, probably regretting that non-refundable round-trip plane ticket. It was merely the Graf version of a wake-up call. Natalie Tozia had some chances against the #1 woman, but in the end, was trying to fight a howitzer with a pea shooter. Natalie was one big weapon short. Chanda Rubin came into this tournament as one of the hottest players on the women's tour. This could spell the end for Steffi, was a common thought amongst the sages in the press box. Well, there was another sage who said, a little knowledge is a dangerous thing. So-called experts dismissed Steffi. Steffi dismissed Chanda, rudely and quickly. Amy Frazier had a bit of a Cinderella run through the U.S. Open, but her carriage turned into a pumpkin at the hands of Steffi, and that left only Gabriela Sabatini between herself and the final. Gabby also had a U.S. Open title in her past and had been playing pretty solid tennis through the first 5 of her matches, but then she hadn't seen anyone the likes of Steffi Graf. So while off-court problems beset the world's reigning #1, on-court there are none. She's battled the world's best, she's battled her own ghosts. In today's battle, the rewards are sweet.
Thank you, Barry. Welcome back. Well, a terrific run through to the final here, but again, not really firing up the typewriters, the laptops, or whatever of the media. And those watching are still talking in terms of what Monica Seles can and may do, rather than what Steffi Graf always seems to be able to do. Remember, she got to the final here last year. She lost to Arantxa Sanchez Vicario. She blistered Arantxa Sanchez in the first set. Sanchez Vicario came back firing on all cylinders at Steffi Graf. And this is where I think, Andrew, you pointed out there are a couple of real technical reasons why Monica Seles does well against Steffi Graf.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that Monica Seles has also improved since she's played Steffi Graf last. She has defeated her 4 times. Steffi has won 6 times. But Monica Seles has improved on her first serve. She reaches more balls. Age 21, seeded 2, co-ranking 1. And look at those results. U.S. Open, she won in 92 and 91. Runner-up at Wimbledon. French Open, won 3 years in a row. Australian Open, 3 years in a row. I mean, that's just so impressive.
Well, she really was the dominant figure. Once she had taken over the top spot from Steffi Graf, they played some great matches. Probably the best of them being in Paris. What was it, 10-8 in the 3rd set in a final there. This is Steffi Graf. See, 5 years older than Monica, just a little bit shorter. She was runner-up last year. She'd won the event once before. And here we are, ready to go.